Hello and welcome to our latest Cambly live session. If you're joining us, please send a message in the chat. Tell us where you're from so that we can say hello. Straight away, I have someone hello from Brazil. Hello, Brazil. Thank you for joining us. To those who don't know who I am teacher Darryl, your teacher for today. I see hello from Nepal. Keep them coming. Send in some more messages so we can say hello and welcome. To those of you who don't know what Cambly is a great online platform. It's on a phone, it's on the web, where you can have one-on-one sessions with teachers like me and our other Cambly Live tutors. I see some more here from Hungary, from Pakistan, from South Africa. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. What are we doing today? Today, we are looking at IELTS speaking. The IELTS is an English proficiency test that many students take so they can get positions overseas, or they can study in universities overseas. I see some more messages. Hello from Japan, Saudi Arabia, India. Welcome. Now today, we're doing the IELTS. We're doing the speaking part of the IELTS, and we're looking at how to prepare in 10 days. Now, often, you know that your IELTS exam is coming up, and maybe you've had other things to do, a lot of other stuff on your mind, and you haven't put a lot of effort in actually preparing for it. So today, we're going to look at the steps to make sure that you are ready when it comes. So we're going to look firstly at the criteria of what they're looking for in IELTS speaking, how they actually give you the band, how they grade you. And then we're going to look at the different times. We're going to look at every day for the 10 days. We're going to look at the night before. We're going to look at the morning of the test, and we're going to look at the actual test itself and how you should prepare and what you should do. So let's start. And I see some more greetings. Bangladesh, Myanmar. Again, thank you for being here. So let's look firstly at the criteria for the IELTS speaking. Now, it's important to understand what they are looking for in terms of the good stuff and the bad stuff. This way, when you are practicing, when you are preparing, you can be aware of what you should be focusing on and what you should be working against. So let's take a look. Obviously, one of the most important things that they are looking at is repetition. Now, they don't want repetition. Okay, now what does repetition mean? Repetition could be the repeating of the same idea within your speech. So perhaps you have mentioned at the beginning of the speech that you have a red car. And then you mention it in the middle of the speech, and then again at the end of the speech. Now, you've said that 3 times, and you've actually wasted the opportunity to give new things as you go through your speech. So straight away, that is bad. Another form of repetition, and this comes from people who speak a little too fast, is that you sometimes repeat the same word over and over as you think about what you want to say in the sentence. And again, they are looking for that, they are listening for that, and they're going to mark you down. So the first thing you're going to work on is your repetition. When you speak, every sentence must be a new idea, a new concept. Do not repeat. If you said one thing once, that is it. You cannot say it again. The next thing they're listening for are pauses, natural pauses in speaking. And this is something you want to try to do. Now, often people get very nervous when they're speaking in front of people, especially it's a test, and they want to get it over with as soon as possible, and they rush, they speed, and as they speed, there's no pausing, there's no natural pauses, and this works against you in a lot of ways. Firstly, the examiner, he can't understand what you're saying. There's no time for him to actually take in the sentence you just said and understand it. And for you, there's no time to think of the next sentence and the next thing you want to say. So what must you do? And this will be part of your practicing. As you finish a sentence, you count in your head. 1, 2. It's enough of a pause, gives you time, gives them time, and you carry on. Then let's look at flow and cohesion. Flow and cohesion. What it means is that your speech is logical and that one point flows to another point. So you're not saying one thing, then jumping to another thing, then jumping to a third thing, and it doesn't make any sense. So you must make sure that when you practice, you are being logical. I have a red car. I drive my red car to the park. At the park, I do this. Then I come home. There's a logic to it. It makes sense, and it is easy to follow. So if your speech is not easy to follow, again, you may be marked down. And I've mentioned it once before, but I'm going to say it again. Speed. You must make sure that you speak at the right speed when you're in that exam. Too fast, it's going to make you feel nervous. The examiner won't understand anything. And again, you lose a grade. You lose a band. So when you're practicing, you make sure you slow down. You pull back on the brake and you speak at a good pace. It gives you time and it gives them time. And the last criteria that I want to look at is level of language. Is it a high level? Is it a low level? Is it a medium level? The reason I want to talk about this is that many students are worried about their level of language. Am I using words that are high level? Am I using too simple words? What should I do? Now, obviously, it is true. The higher your level of language in terms of your vocabulary, in terms of your sentence structure, you're going to get a higher band. It's true. But we're looking at how to prepare in 10 days. Now, in 10 days, it's important to make sure that you can speak confidently and that every word is used correctly. Now, we'll talk a little bit about adjectives and words later. But what I want you to think about more than having big words is speaking correctly and confidently. So I don't want you to actually worry about level of language for this 10 days when you have to prepare. And what can happen, and we'll say it again later, if you use a big word and you use it wrong, that will actually work against you. So you may have a lot of big words that you like and you think, this is great. These are big words. These are high level words. It may actually hurt you. All right. So we know the criteria. Oh, before I forget, today is an interactive lesson. So I am going to be stopping at least 2 times, probably after this board and then after the other stuff we're going to do. If you have questions about the IELTS speaking and how to prepare in your 10 days, please send them through. I'm sure other people probably have the same questions, and we can answer them and deal with them. All right, so we've got the criteria down. Let's look at what you're going to be doing every day to prepare. Okay, now I've broken this down into 4 sections. Things that you are going to practice, things that you are going to look at, observe, listen to, things that you are going to prepare, and things that you are going to look up if you want to. Let's take a look at each one. Let's look firstly at practicing. Every day, for those 10 days, you have to practice making speeches. It's no good to do it once a day or once a week and to say, I know how to speak. Speaking in a test situation is different. So what I want you to do 3 times a day, at least every day for those 10 days, is to make a speech. Make a part 1 speech about yourself. Make the part 2 speech where you explain something for 2 minutes. Make the part 3 speech where you have to explain an opinion. You do all 3 times a day. Why? By the time you get to that test, you will have done this so many times, a lot of those nerves are gone. So that's number one. You have to practice your speeches. You also have to practice being calm. Now, you can have a lot of calming techniques. You can talk about breathing and all kinds of things to do on the day. But you can't only do them on the day. You actually have to be familiar with those techniques beforehand. So just like you're practicing the speeches, I want you to practice being calm. I'm going to give you a very simple calming technique that you can use. Before you speak, all you have to do is in your head count 1, 2, 3, just like that. A slow count, and you will be calm. But you have to practice doing that every time you make a speech. So for the 10 days when you're practicing, you practice being calm. There are also breathing techniques that you can do to make yourself feel less nervous. Practice them. Anything that's going to make you feel less nervous, more in control, you have to practice so that on the day, you know how to do it. And final thing you can practice are some answers. Now, I don't want you to memorize answers. I don't want you to read things and make speeches and try to memorize them. That's not what I'm saying. But some answers you should practice a little bit. You should be familiar with. For example, part 1 is usually about you. It's about what do you like to do? What is your hometown like? Basic things about you. And the strange thing is that many people find this very difficult to talk about. Most people think that they have nothing interesting to say about themselves, and that their hometown is not very interesting, and that there's nothing to really talk about. And so in the exam, when asked these questions, they have nothing to say. They freeze up and they say, well, I like music, and that's their answer. And there's nothing that an examiner can get from that. So the answers I want you to prepare are the ones about yourself. If someone asks you, what is your favorite kind of television, have an answer. If someone asks you, what are the best things to do in your country, have an answer. So simple answers about you, your hometown, and your country. That way, when you get to the exam, you know those answers. You can speak about them naturally and confidently. And again, you're going to practice them every day. Don't practice it once and then say, I'm ready. Every day, you answer some of those questions to yourself, and by the time the exam comes, you know those answers and you can speak well about them. All right, so that's your practice. Then let's look at what you can observe, what you can listen to, what you can look at online to prepare. Now, many people don't realize that there are a lot of online videos where people have recorded, not tutorials, not lessons, where people have recorded interviews or mock IELTS interviews. Now, one of the things that people feel very nervous about and scared about is they don't know what to expect in that exam room. It's what's going to happen. If you watch these videos, you will see, and you will understand how it goes, what is said, how the examiner treats you, and that's going to take away a lot of those nerves. So you can go to YouTube, you can go to other channels, and you can look for online IELTS speaking tests. And you will see so many that you can watch and understand how it works and take away the nerves. You can also look up model answers. Obviously, there are lots of places where people have given you a mock test, a mock question, and then they've given you the mock answer. Now, I don't want you to memorize them, but it's a good idea to read them and to understand how a question can flow, how it can be logical, and what you can say to answer that question. And again, you're going to do that every day, because the more you do it, the more it's going to go into your head and you'll understand how to answer in the exam. Final thing you can do, and maybe this is more of a fun thing, but it's very useful, is to listen to podcasts, movies, TV series, so that you can get into the rhythm of the English speaking for those 10 days. And again, I don't want you to watch one movie and say, I'm done. These 3 things you do every day. For those 10 days, you are living and breathing everything to do with the test and English. So that is observing. And then let's look at how to prepare. All right, now here we've got the 3 parts of the exam. Part 1, we've said already, is about you. You are preparing your answers. You're thinking about what do I like? What don't I like? What is good? What is bad about the things that are around me? Who is in my family? Who do I like? Things like that. Part 2 is the long form speech. This is when you are speaking for 2 minutes about something. And it can be a little bit confusing. Should I speak for this amount of time? Am I speaking for too long? I want you to time yourself. Get out your phone, your smartwatch, time yourself for 2 minutes and make sure that that's how long you speak for. And you're going to do this again every day because you're practicing your speeches. And then by doing it every day, 3 times a day, you will find that rhythm of how long to speak for those 2 minutes. And then there is part 3. Part 3 is your opinion. This is when you are asked yes, no, agree, disagree, and you have to prove your opinion. I'm going to quickly go through a framework that I like to use for students. You're going to practice and prepare this as you do all your speech practice. And I like to use your hand because in the exam, although you can't take anything else, but you can take your hand. So they're going to ask you yes or no. So that's the first thing you say. I like, I don't like. I agree, I disagree. And then you give 3 reasons and 3 examples. Yes, I like a red car because red is my favorite color, because red is an exciting color, because a car is a great thing to have. And then you finish off by repeating what you've said. That is why I like a red car. So you must practice that framework, the yes, the no, the 3, and the yes, the no, so that by the time you get to the exam, you've done it 30 times. It's in your head. So that is what you prepare. Final thing you're going to do every day is to look up things if you want to. Now, I've said this before when we looked at level of language. People are concerned about their words and their adjectives. Are my words good enough? Are they big enough? Am I using good high-level adjectives? And maybe you're not. Maybe your adjectives are medium or even low level. Again, like I've said, it's not that important. More important to speak correctly. But if you want to make sure that you have a few big words that you can use, what you must do during the 10 days is make sure you are using them correctly. How can you do that? On day 1, you look up the words you want. So if you want a new word for good, if you want a new word for big, if you want a new word for expensive, you look up the word, and then on the same day, you check how is it used in sentences. Go look up that word in Google and see how do they use that in a sentence. You will then at least understand the correct way to use that word. And once you understand that, you can practice that word throughout the 10 days with the other words. But it's very important to check that you are using it correctly. Don't just look up a word, think, this is great. I love this word. I can use this for good all the time. It may not work. So you must look up and see how it's used and then practice in that way. And extra few things during this 10 days, because it will be an intense 10 days. Make sure to get rest. Don't burn yourself out. Don't get so exhausted with English that you don't care anymore about the test. So every day you must still take time for you to rest, perhaps do something that you enjoy doing. Also, try to do a lot of these things at least one time before you go to sleep. It's been proven that when we do things, when we practice things before we go to sleep, our brain is going to work on them all night, and we will actually be better the next day at those things. So if you make a speech and then you watch one of the online videos and then you prepare one of your answers just before you go to sleep, you'll find in the morning you're actually more confident with those things. So that's just a side tip. And again, I'm going to say it when you're speaking, when you're practicing, slow down. Give yourself time, give the examiner time to hear what you're going to say. All right, so that's a lot to do every single day. Let's look at what to do the night before. This one is easy, very, very easy. Don't work. Why? You have done enough already. A lot of people, what they want to do before an exam is to cram, is to do more stuff because they think it's going to work. By that time, you're just going to make yourself more nervous, more stressed. So you want to go to bed early. You don't do any more work the night before. You've done enough. You wake up in the morning after a good sleep, and you're prepared. All right, before we go on to the actual day, let's go to the questions and see if there's anyone that's sent me anything. So I see some more hellos, and thank you to the people saying that I'm a great teacher. I try. Hello from India. Someone has asked, what are normal questions to ask? So I assume that the question that Sueli Ishiyama is asking is, what is a part one question? When I say a normal question, part one normal questions are about you. It's about you. It's your hobbies, your interests. What do you like to do? Where do you like to go? Who is in your family? What is in your hometown? Very simple, normal things that are around you all the time. And it's so strange that these things that we are so familiar with, we struggle to talk about. That's why I say for these normal questions, you must prepare. Thank you for sending that question. Someone has said, how can I decide the topic of a speech? Thank you for that question, Dan L. Now, I assume you mean the speeches that you are making yourself every day. And this is a good question. How can you decide on the topic of a speech? There are a few ways. Firstly, online, there are many resources that are giving you sample questions. You can easily use those. It's quite simple. Or you can find things around you. I often tell students that if you're making breakfast, you can say, do I want orange juice or do I want coffee? And you can make a speech about why you choose orange juice. And it's a simple thing, but you're getting the practice in. So it's online test papers and making decisions about stuff you see in your life. Thanks for that question. Let's see if there's one more question before we carry on. Someone has asked, is it a good way to practice speaking in front of a mirror? Now, thank you, Kaula Al-Dubai. I hope I said that correctly. This is a good technique. Why? Because you are facing yourself. And a lot of people feel very self-conscious when they have to give a speech, and even more so when they see themselves giving the speech. So yes, it's a very good idea to have a mirror, look in the mirror, and do the speech. I would also like, when you are practicing these speeches, do it in front of people. Remember that it's easy to do it by yourself, but in the exam, there's a person, and it's a very different feeling. So you must practice in front of real people. You can ask your family, your friends. You can go speak to people on the street. It's maybe not the best idea, but you must practice also in front of real people, because that's how it's going to be. All right, thank you for those questions. Let's move on to what you're going to do on the day and then what you're going to do during the speech. Let me just get rid of this. While I'm doing this, let me remind everyone that at the end of today's lesson, I will be giving a discount code that you can use for Cambly. So please stick around until the end to get that. All right, almost got this all off. All right, so let's look at what to do on the day of the exam. On the day. Now, by this time, you should have hopefully been practicing your calming techniques a lot. And that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to calm yourself down. So you may use, sometimes you can use a breathing technique. You can go sit in a quiet place and just feel yourself and listen to yourself. Breathe and empty your mind a few minutes, and you will find it really calms you down on the day. Very important, removes those nerves. All right, another calming technique that you can do, obviously, on the day is counting in your head 1, 2, 3, and then starting your speech. So that's number one, calm yourself. Then I want you to warm up on the day. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't want you to go to the exam, and that's the first time that you're making a speech for that day, because you're not warmed up. It's like exercising. Before you exercise, you should stretch or do a little bit of cardio, so the system is ready for the exercise. And it's the same thing when you're making the speech on the speech day. Take a few minutes and do a part 1, a part 2, and a part 3 by yourself in the morning after you've calmed yourself down, and then you're ready in the zone. You've said those speeches already, so by the time you get to the exam, you're warmed up. You can even do that a few times if you want. You're ready, okay? The day is ready, your body, your mind is ready for speaking. Then, when you go into the speech, when you go into the exam room, smile. A lot of people are very nervous and they go in like it's the end of the world. And this is making your body feel tense. This is making your mind feel nervous. It might affect the examiner. He's not going to really worry that much, but it's affecting you. You don't have to be happy, but you can force yourself to smile. Even if it's a fake smile, it doesn't matter. It kind of works, it's magic in your brain and on your body, and you suddenly feel it's okay. What's happening is okay, and you smile at the examiner, even if they don't smile back. It creates a nice feeling between you, all right? It puts you at ease and creates a little bit of a dynamic there. So smile when you go in to the exam room. And like I said, even if he doesn't smile, don't take that personally. Don't think, oh, that's it. He didn't smile. It's all over. He is doing this all day. He is a professional. He may give you a little nod. That's it. It's fine. Don't stress about anything he does. And that comes to our next point. If you are interrupted, and it can happen, if you get interrupted, you're speaking, and then the examiner says, let me ask you another question, or let's go on to something else. Don't get stressed. Don't feel like, oh, I said something wrong. It's all over now. I'm done. Remember, they have things they need to listen to. It actually could be a good thing. He has heard what he needs to hear, and now he wants to go on to something else. So don't get flustered and upset if he interrupts you. It can happen. All right, what else? Try to be natural. And this is your body language and your tone. Your body language and your tone. Remember, when you're speaking, don't speak like a robot. A lot of people, when they're in the speech, because they're nervous, they tend to speak in 1, tone all the time, and this is how they speak, and these are the things they say, and I like my red car, and I drive my red car every day. That's not a speech. That's not how normal people speak. And that could affect you. So speak in a natural way. You will have practiced it, but remember to do it. Speak naturally. There's natural pauses, the way I'm speaking, the way you've seen other tutors speak. We punctuate, we express ourselves. So be natural. And also your body language. This is for you. Okay, don't be stiff like a robot and sit down and, again, kind of like stare like it's the end of the world. Sit normally, be natural, feel a little bit at ease. Even if you have to force yourself to do it, it will then take over and do its magic. Once you force yourself to do it, it kind of becomes what your body is doing. So don't forget that. So these are the things to do on the day before and then as you enter the exam. All right, let's go to the questions again, see if there are more questions before we do the final steps, which is what to do during the speech. So I'm going to go back here and see if there are more questions that people have asked. Someone has asked about grammar and accent. Thank you, Raj Kumar. This is something that people worry about, grammar and accent. Let's talk about accent first. Many people feel that their accent is wrong in some way and that this will affect their score. This is not true. Accent, everyone has one. Even people that are native speakers have an accent. You may be from the UK, from the US, from Australia, New Zealand. It doesn't matter. You have an accent. So don't worry about your accent. Worry about, are you pronouncing the words correctly, even if you are maybe rolling the R a little bit, even if you are having trouble with a certain sound. As long as you are making sense, as long as you are actually saying the words correctly, don't worry about accent. As for grammar, now yes, grammar can have an effect. Remember, level of language. If you were worried about your grammar, like I said, keep it simple. Don't start every sentence with the same thing, like I like this, I like that, I think this, I do that. Vary how you start your sentences, but don't get hung up thinking, oh, my grammar is wrong and I should try to be more complex with my grammar, because what can happen if you are not at that stage yet is that you're going to make mistakes and your sentence is going to be in the wrong order and it's going to work against you. So if you are concerned about grammar, keep it simple. That way you know you are understood. And just vary it a little bit when you speak and make your sentences. That was a good question. Thank you. Someone has asked, Manoj Rout, how can we control our speed during our speech? So let's say this again. It's those natural pauses. So when you make a sentence, you stop and you count in your head. 1, 2. It's a natural pause. It actually slows you down because you have to stop before you make your next point, before you start your next sentence. Another way to do it as well is to think about where there are natural groups of words. Where there is a natural group of words, stop for 1 second and then carry on. And it's not like you are slowly saying words. You're just putting a pause here and a pause there, and there's a little break before the next thing you say. And that's how you slow yourself down. That was a great question. Thank you. All right, now let's go take a look at the final thing we're looking at, which is what to do during the speech. All right, so we're done on the day. Let's do during the speech. All right, so during the speech, I want to first give you an important way on how to get out of a bad sentence. Now, it's going to happen. You are going to be making your speech and you will forget a word. You will forget how a sentence structure works. you'll get upset. You'll think, I don't know how to get out of the sentence. I don't know how to finish it, and this is the end of my chances at a good band. It's very simple. So to get out of a bad sentence, you can use there are a few words that you can use. The most basic is, what I mean to say is. So you're in a bad sentence, you don't know how to get out of it, you forgot a word. All you do is push that bad sentence aside and you say, what I mean to say is, and you start again. Having this kind of thing can really make you feel confident to know it's going to be okay. I can get out of this and I can start again. Another one you can use is, let me give you another example. So again, you are trapped, bad sentence. How do you get out? What you wanted to say, it's not coming out right. Push it aside. Let me give you another example. And again, you can start fresh. So that's a very good way to make you feel, again, less nervous during the actual speech. Then what else? We've spoken already about slowing down. Smile, if you can, during the speech. Again, it works to create a feeling between you and the examiner to make you feel calm. And speak confidently. Speak confidently. Now, that sounds easy to say. What do I usually tell students is, if you are at the level that you are taking an IELTS speaking test, you're already at a certain level where you can say, I know how to speak English. I know how to express myself. I know how to make sentences and how to have a proper conversation. So you must remember that when you are in the speech and tell yourself, I can speak English. I can express myself. I should be confident. So it's almost like a circle. I can speak, so I should speak well. So always remember to try to speak confidently during the speech. And then, final tip I want to give you, and this is very similar to what we looked at with the calming technique of 1, 2, 3. Don't rush into answers. So don't rush the answers. Often what happens is you hear the question and then you just start straight away. It could be nerves, it could be anything. You want to prove that you can do it and you just start, and then suddenly you realize you didn't know what you wanted to say. What you're saying is not really what you have knowledge about, and now you're stuck. And yes, you can use one of our techniques, but you're going to be a little upset with yourself. So take a couple of seconds. You hear the question and then think, what do I want to say? And then start. And again, that will also make you feel a bit calmer. It'll slow you down. So don't rush into answers. It's a very, very good technique. And let me just consult my notes, see if there's anything else. One thing I do want to say, and it is on my notes, and it's for during the speech. Fake answers. Now, a lot of people feel like they don't have enough knowledge about certain topics, or maybe the topic is about children and they don't have children and they don't know what to say. And now they feel like, well, I don't have 2 minutes worth of speech to give. Make stuff up. Remember, this is not a lie detector test. No one is checking if you are telling the truth. You can make up any story you want. Sometimes made up stories you can actually speak about better. So don't be afraid to make up fake answers. Okay, again, it will give you confidence to know I can say anything. I don't have a red car, but I can talk about the red car. So make up fake answers, and you can practice those during those 10 days that we talked about earlier. All right, I'm going to go to the questions one more time, see if there's anything else, and then I think we'll be finished for the day. Someone has asked, I want to improve my intonation in English. It's always flat. Now, we talked about this earlier, that some people, in the exam, they tend to speak in a very monotone, flat way, and that's how they speak. How can you improve this? Remember what intonation is. Intonation means you go up and down as you speak. So if you want to work on it, take a sentence and draw this on the words and make your voice go up and down as you speak. You will find that that actually varies your tone. And then if you listen to that in movies and in podcasts, how people go up and down, you will learn that rhythm. You will learn that intonation. All right, that was a very good question. Thank you. It's Dan Elegant. Very good. Thank you. Let's see if there's any more questions that have been sent in. Someone has asked, I think this will be our final question, how could I improve my accurate and appropriate vocabulary? I'm going to repeat what we said earlier. Once you have a set of words that you think you can use, how can you make sure they are appropriate? Look up those words in Google to see how they are used in sentences. So it's very easy to look up a dictionary definition. But if you look it up, just those words, and then you look in the articles that those words are in, you can see how they are used in sentences. And you can understand when it is appropriate, when it is right to use that word, and when it doesn't make sense. So always look it up in context of a story, of an actual sentence, to make sure you know how to use it. All right, as I said, I'm going to be giving a discount code for today. So you can go to Cambly and use this. I'm not sure what the discount amount actually is, but you can go use it. It is Go Alive, spelled like that. And again, if you guys don't know, Cambly is a great online platform where you can get tuition in anything, IELTS, grammar, business, anything you need. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Been a nice long session. I hope it's been good for you, and I'm going to say good luck to all the IELTS tests that you guys are going to write. And then please join us again, and me and the other tutors for the other Cambly live sessions. And until then, from Cambly, we're going to say bye for now.